Hello and welcome back. How are you doing? I am doing pretty well. I'm having to restart this video because I have alarms. I had an alarm set on my phone. I have alarms set on my phone as reminders, and it went off and it stopped the video. So this is take 2. So hopefully I can remember everything that I was talking about. But how are you? I'm doing pretty well. I just came from church, and Lord willing, I'll be going to a concert later on today. Today, hopefully. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm really excited about everything that's going on. So anyways, I just want to talk to you guys. I want to talk about singleness. And I had like it wasn't like, like this organized, structured thing, but I did write notes, but they're at my house. I left them at home. I forgot them, and I've been wanting to film this for a while, and I just continue to forget my notes whenever I'm like about to film. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I left my house. I brought my Bible to church with me, forgot my Bible in my car. Like that, the amount of times that I go to church forgetting my Bible in my car, and then I'm like, do I really want to go to my car? Not that I'm lazy, but I'll like remember mid-service, and I'm like, I don't want to get up and disrupt, service and get up, go to my car. You know what I mean? Like I'm already inside, I'm already here and in the atmosphere, you know what I mean? So I didn't get my Bible, but this is just what happens. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, whatever. But yeah, I want to talk about singleness today, and I want to talk about like mindset in singleness, right? So I'm gonna start from the beginning, and ever since I can remember, when I was like in school, I remember like in high school, I remember being like, oh, I want to be, excuse me, now I'm yawning, oh, I want to be married at age 19, and I want to have kids, and I want to start a family, like at 19, literally. And I never had a desire to work. Not that I was lazy. I've been working since I was 16 years old. I've been working since 16. So I've always, had something going on. But I just didn't really have a desire. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't feel this weight on me, or this burden on me, or this passion, or this desire to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a nurse, or to be a dermatologist. I'm just naming out random jobs. Radiologist, I didn't really have. And I just realized I forgot to fix my bobby pin. It's okay. I just didn't really have that in me, right? And I went to college for a few years, ended up like just not really going back. I guess I would be considered a college dropout. Never thought of it that way. But yeah, I took a few classes, and school was just not for me, especially at the time. Like now, I have been thinking about maybe like, does God want me to go back to school? And stuff like that. But at the time when I was younger and around that age, it just was not for me. I was not a school person. I never was a school person. Even like in kindergarten, I remember my mom was like, how was your day at school? It was like my first day of school, and she was like, how was your day at school? And I was like, oh, it was cool, like whatever. And she's like, are you excited for tomorrow? And I'm like, you mean I have to go back? I was like upset that I had to go back. I thought it was just like a one-day thing, like one and done. And I was like, yeah, I have to go back to school. little did I know I had to go back to school for many, many, many years. And then if I went to college, even more schooling. But yeah, even when I was a kid, I was like, I have to go back to school. I thought I was done. I was done. No, you're not. Anyways, yeah, I knew that I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to be like a mom when I was younger. And I look back on my life and I'm like, thank you, Jesus, that I was not married at 19 and a mom at 19. I'd be an awful wife. I'd be an awful mother. I would have. And I believe I would have done my best. I would have loved my kids the best that I could. And I would have loved my husband the best I could. But I think that as the years keep going on and on and on, I have the ability to be a better wife and a better mom as years keep going on. I was not in the right headspace or place to be. I had no business being a mom or a wife at 19, even 20, even 21, even 22. I had no business, okay? So I'm very thankful that in the Lord's kindness and his graciousness that he did not allow that to happen and did not give me what I wanted and what I desired in that moment. Anyways, so being at the age that I am now, and I have no problem with my age. I have no problem saying my age to people. I have no problem people asking me my age. I am not one of those women that are like, do not ask a woman her age, because I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of with your age. It's like, whether you accept it or not, you are that age, okay? It's just the truth. It is the facts, okay? Whether you call yourself 20 and you're really 50, you're 50, okay? You are 50. You are not 20. You are 50, okay? Stop. Anyways, yeah, I have no problem with my age, but I won't say my age on here just because for personal privacy. But I have no problem with age. But just like, because this is like the internet and I try to keep like things a little private. I don't mind being like vulnerable about different things, but I think like just personal information, I'm like, so being at the age that I am now, I'm past 19 and and being single, I have had a lot of time. I've spent the majority of my life single, like the majority of my life being single. And I went through a phase in my life where I was, constantly like listening to marriage and dating content, as in preparation for marriage. A lot of churches, it would always make me so mad because they would have these pastors or these like women come up here talking about singleness, and they'd be like, but yet they're like, but they're married, and they'd be like, yeah, the singleness season. Meanwhile, they met their husband in high school. It's like, girl, what do you know about what do you know about singleness? You met in high school, you got married at like 20. What are you talking about? Oh, the singleness season is the best. Like, what are you saying? Stop. And it would make me so upset because it would always be like, they're like, oh, we're talking about singleness today. And then then they'd share their story and it's like, you were single for like 2 months. Calm down. Relax, okay? Anyways. No, I have been single for the majority of my life and I have spent a lot of years hating it. Spent a lot of years being like, what's wrong with me? Am I ugly? There's something wrong. And even to this day, sometimes I still feel like, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with me. Like, especially when I start to PMS and you start to get like really in your feelings and you start to get really emotional and your hormones are like raging and making you want to cry and like slit your wrists every 2 seconds. It's so much fun. Anyways, no, but definitely when I was younger, I'd be like, oh my gosh, is there's something wrong with me? Like, I just didn't really understand. And I would watch a lot of because I had that desire, so I would watch a lot of content on dating and healthy Christian marriages and all this different stuff, and singleness and how to utilize your singleness season. And one thing that I always see in common with this message is like marriage is the goal, which there's nothing wrong with marriage being the goal, right? But it's always like your singleness season. And, you know, and in your singleness season, you are preparing for marriage. You are preparing to be a wife. You are preparing to be a mother. And there's nothing wrong with preparing to be a wife, and nothing wrong with preparing to be a mother, you know, and like preparing for marriage. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not bashing anybody that's like actively preparing, especially if you feel like that is God's calling on your life and God is calling you to prepare in certain ways for what, like for that marriage or for motherhood. 100% I'm on board. But I find that it's every single message, the focus is like on to be married, and nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I have definitely had, and I'm speaking to maybe the minority, not the majority, because the majority of people, the majority of people are already married, and the majority of people will get married. Like I feel like I'm making this number up, but this is how it feels. It feels like 98% of people will get married. That's how it feels. But I don't know. I don't know what the actual percentage of people, I don't know what the actual number is. I've never Googled it or like looked it up. For the statistics, I am like yawning internally and I hate it so much. Try not to yawn. I hate yawning. But I have had to shift my perspective from preparing for marriage, preparing to be a wife and a mom, to preparing for like what God has for me. And in that, like, you are still preparing for marriage, but marriage is not the main focus. And there's nothing wrong with marriage being the focal point, and there's nothing wrong with desiring marriage or wanting to be a wife or a husband, or you know, wanting to create and start a family of your own. There's nothing wrong with that, and God loves that. And God definitely honors marriage and family, you know. And I just look back on like the Bible, and your bloodline was so important. Like your blood, like your lineage, you know, like that's what they did. They married, they had multiple wives, and they had multiple children. They had a lot of kids. They were busy. They had a lot of kids back in the day. And that was like, yeah, like your lineage was super important. And yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. But like I said, I'm probably speaking to the minority rather than the majority of people. But I've definitely had to shift my perspective and my mindset. And I'm not coming from a place of I've got it down pat. Like I never desire marriage anymore, or I never get upset or cry, you know, over these things. Like that's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place of like constant having to, you know, choose and think about like God's preparation for whatever he has, because not everyone is going to get married, and marriage is not, like it's not in the plans for every single person on earth. And I've always had a hard time, because I've always had a rough time, I think, in the faith of being a follower of Jesus, because the majority of people are married. Majority of people are married. Majority of people have kids. It's everywhere. Like you go to church, and the majority of people are sitting with their husbands or sitting with their wives, and they have a child or they have multiple kids, you know. And even if they don't have children, they have their wife or they have their husband. And you know, the pastors are married. So when you're going to church and they're giving these examples of what they have to go through and what they struggle with, as a single person, you can't relate to that, because it's like, you know, their examples that they're giving you, like, you can relate in a certain sense, and you can like you can understand where they're coming from, but you can't like exactly get it because you're single, right? So if he's talking about, oh, you know, my kids and da da da, like, this is an example of my wife, or da da da, or like this and that, it's like, you're not married, you have kids, right? But those are the majority examples that people use, and a lot of pastors aren't even single, so they come from a marriage mindset, right? Nothing wrong. I'm not hating. This video is not bashing anyone, I promise. Like I don't feel any hatred in my heart or like any ill intention. I'm just coming from like a place of my own personal experience. So I just lost my train of thought. I was on a roll too. Oh, okay. Struggle, having a hard time. Okay. I don't know. I feel like I was going off in a different direction before, but now I'm going off in a different direction. It's okay. But yeah, I've always had this struggle, like being in the church and being single, because like I said, the majority of people are not single in church, you know. Our pastors aren't single, the congregation isn't, you know, even the teenagers aren't single. like it's, yeah. And you know, and when you hear a lot, I don't know if anybody else hears this, but I hear a lot of like married people in general, but married Christian people, you know, being like the most important thing that you can do, the most fulfilling, satisfying thing that you can do is get married and have kids. And that has always rubbed me the wrong way. And not that I don't believe that marriage is fulfilling, not that I don't believe that having children is fulfilling. I believe that all of those things are so fulfilling, and I can only imagine how amazing that feels to be surrounded by so much love, consistent, like just constantly so much love, as long as you're in like a healthy marriage and a beautiful relationship with your kids, your family, and to be surrounded by so much love on a consistent basis. It sounds so beautiful, you know, to be in that environment all the time. But I also had a hard time with that statement, because it's like, so what about the people that don't have kids? What about the people that are not married? Like, are you saying that they're not capable of like living a fulfilling life just because they don't have kids or because they're not married? Are you saying that Jesus didn't live a fulfilling life here on earth? Paul and all the other many believers that were before and after the Bible, like, did not live fulfilling lives, even though they committed their lives to God, no matter what God had for them, whether it was, you know, being a missionary, or, you know, pouring all of your heart and soul and mind and body into like children, like orphanages, or mentorship, or giving to the poor, feeding the poor, clothing people. Like, are you saying that they didn't live a fulfilling life as well? That the only way that you can have a fulfilling life is through having a family and getting married? Like I said, I'm not bashing, and I'm not saying that having being married and having children I'm saying that is fulfilling 100%. But I also believe, and I'm trying to believe, and I struggle to believe, but I do believe it's possible to have a fulfilling life without kids and without marriage, and a very purposeful life, you know, eventful and amazing and beautiful life here without being married and without having kids, right? And yeah, and I also think it's important that a person who's not married and doesn't have kids is saying this as well too. And I'm not saying that it's easy either, because I'm still on this journey. Like I said, I'm not coming from a place of like, I am in this spot in my life where I am always content and I am just so like happy all the time about my singleness. Like I have many times where I am like, thank you God, like I am so thankful at times for my singleness. I am so grateful to be single. I am so thankful. I am like, wow, I have time to do this, I have time to do that, I have time to go here, time to do this. I can, I can go here, I can do this when I want to, I can travel if I want to, if God was like, oh, go do this, go fly here, go do this. I mean, I have to worry about my job, it's like taking time off, but it's not like, oh, I gotta figure out who's gonna take care of my kids, I gotta talk to my husband, I gotta do this, I gotta set this up. It's like, it's just a lot more freeing, I guess, in a way. There's freedom in marriage too. There's different types of freedom, like I believe, but a lot of freedom in just being able to be like single and being able to kind of go with the flow, and like just kind of only having to, like, I talk to God, like, God, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I doing today? Like, am I supposed to go here? Am I supposed to go there? Like, what is the verdict? But I'm just talking to God, right? I don't have to go to God, then go to my husband, and then tell my kids, and tell my grandkids, and tell my great-great-grandkids. Like, it's just like, I just, have my Heavenly Father, right? And yeah, I have a lot of moments where I'm like, I'm so thankful and I'm available. Like, it's just awesome to be available to people, because you try to make plans with people who are married, good luck. And then you try to make plans with people who are married and have kids. Oh my goodness, like, you have to plan sometimes like months in advance. I was recently trying to make plans. I'm the only single person in the group, and we're trying to make plans to do something, and they have like, the majority of them the rest of them are married, and then some of them have kids, and then I think like maybe 2 of them don't have kids, or 1 of them doesn't have kids, I think. Anyways, but we literally could not pick a date. We still have not gotten together. We could not pick a date to get together, because everybody was like, oh, my kid has this and my kids have that, my kids going away, I have to help them, I have to get things together for them, or someone's coming over here, my husband has this, and da da da, and we literally could not pick a date, like, at all. And I was like, I'm available. I'm like, I can do whatever. I get off at this time. I can work around it. Like, I have things that have to be done. I'm not saying that my schedule is just like wide open. Like, I have my dad I help take care of, and things I have to do around the house, and like, I have my own responsibilities, and I have my dad's responsibilities as well, or my dad's, I don't know if that's the right verbiage, but like, I help out at my house with my dad, so like, I have his stuff that I have to take care of too. So it's not like I'm just like completely like, I got nothing going on. I got a lot of things going on, and I'm like, I am so busy at times. There's so much going on that I'm just so thankful that I am single and that I don't have something else added onto my plate, because sometimes I can get so overwhelmed with what I already do have in my life. I'm like, I couldn't imagine being a mom. Like, with everything that I have going on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can imagine like thinking about dinners for my husband and for my kids, and then lunches, and then picking them up from school, then taking them to practice, and then going here, and then doing that, and da da da. And it's like, it would just be so overwhelmed. Like, I already feel so overwhelmed now, and then to add so much more on top of what I have now would just be so overwhelming. And I believe that God would give me the strength to get through, of course, but like, those are the moments where I'm like, I take a step back and I'm like, thank you, God, that I am not, like, that hasn't happened for me yet. But it is a journey. It is definitely a journey, and it's definitely a struggle, because at times I'm like, no, I do really want that. And I still do, you know? And even in the moments where I'm like, I'm very thankful and grateful that it hasn't happened yet, you know, I still am like, but it would be nice eventually to have that in God's timing. And I really just have to trust his timing. But I definitely had to change and shift my mind to, you know, instead of preparing for marriage, like preparing just for whatever God has for me, because I feel like I just really want to be very present in the moment with my singleness and being single, whether that's whenever, however long that God has me in this time for, or forever, I don't know, but however long. I would like to be present. I feel like, and like I said, I'm probably speaking to the minority, because it works for a lot of people, like preparing for marriage, you know, all that stuff. But sorry, just saw something. Anyways, I just lost my train of thought. I love that. I love when that happens. I love when I do stuff like that, because I looked at the radio. Sorry, I hate yawning. Now my eyes are gonna water. I'm really upset about that. But anyways, so yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say is just coming from a mindset of a place where you are allowing God to prepare you for whatever he has for you, instead of but I also encourage you to pray. Like, if God is saying prepare for marriage, then like, have your mindset on that and pray about that and prepare for that. But if you're feeling unsure, I feel like when the focal point is marriage, and that's all you're doing is focusing on that, it's very easily becomes an idol in your life, and becomes it definitely is and was an idol in my life. And it's something that I'm just trying to work on, which is why I'm having to constantly shift my mind into the gear of preparing for whatever God has for me, and whatever that looks like, and whatever that is. And like I said, in that time of preparing, allowing God to prepare you for what he has for you, if marriage is what he has for you, then he's preparing you are ultimately preparing for marriage. If being a mom is what he has for you, you are ultimately preparing to be a mom. If whatever it is, if being a pastor, you know, you were ultimately preparing to be a pastor without actively preparing to be a pastor. You know what I mean? Because there's things in our lives where we, like, when we're in the moment, we're just like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I here for this long, this many years? Why has God called me here? I do not know why. And then we can look back and be like, that's why. It was building character, and it was helping me. And if I wasn't in this, it wouldn't have made me, you know, as good of a husband, or as good of a wife, or as good of a mom, you know. So I really am a firm believer in just like preparing for what God has for you, whatever that might be. And I'm also like, because I just find that, like, when your friends start to get married, and when people start to get married, they just kind of like want to set you up with people. And everything that I am saying right now especially is so circumstantial, because sometimes people can get set up on dates and they're like, they hit it off, right? Whatever. They get married. Some people meet their husbands on dating apps and they get married, have beautiful marriages. I love that, okay? For me personally, I don't think that is the tea for me. And I kind of wish that Like, I don't know. I'm like, to me, I'm just open to what God has for me, but it would have to be me, like, asking God, like, God, is this the person that you, because I feel like I can tell before I can tell, you know. And I know a lot of people, I've been told a lot, like, oh, you know, how are you gonna know if you don't date? How are you gonna know if you don't, like, you know, put yourself out there and yada 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 and all this stuff? You know, you should go on the apps, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, I have no desire. And it's not like, oh, I don't have a desire because I'm scared, or because I have like a fear or like a negative, like, something around that. It's like I genuinely don't feel the spirit moving me to be like, this is what I want you to do. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with any of the dating app, well, just depending on how you use it, obviously. But if you're using it to, like, actually seek genuine relationships and marriage and stuff like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And, you know, being set up with people, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But a lot of times, like, I can tell, I'm like, I know, you know. And I know some people are like, how are you gonna know? And that's you. You know, it's kind of like how when married people are like, oh my gosh, or like when you ask a married couple, like, how did you know that you're gonna marry your wife or your husband? And they just answer, I just knew. Why do we give pushback on other people when it's pertaining to non-marriage answers? Like, whenever someone says, oh, I just knew that they were going to be my wife or my husband, I don't even question it, because I believe it. I believe 100%. I have seen it, I have heard it, and I believe it. Okay, I believe it 100% that, you know, like, when you're gonna marry someone. I do. I really do. And sometimes that's not everyone's story. Like I said, everything is circumstantial. Some people, you know, it depends on your background too. Like, it just depends on, like, where you come from. It literally just depends, like, what you've been through, your traumas, you know. You could have, like, sometimes like just different, like, thought processes and stuff like that. But when people say to me that they just knew, they're like, oh, it might sound kind of weird, but, like, I just knew. Like, that's not weird to me. I believe you 100%. So why, when I say I just know that this is not the person for me, why can't we just take it for what it is? I don't understand it. But anyways, yeah, sorry, I just went off like a whole tangent. But yeah, because I feel like I think the reason why I'm like that is just because I feel like there's just so much that God is, like, having to do and working on in me, that I would prefer just for him to do the work in me than to add another person into the relationship into my life prematurely. And I really honestly, it all comes down to, like, to trusting God, to trusting him in his perfect timing, if I could speak, and in his perfect timing. And that's what it comes down to for me. Like, do I trust him or do I not? You know? And I think at times it's easy for me to trust him, and at times it's not. It can be very difficult, like, very, very difficult, which is so funny. Because it's like, why is it difficult to trust God? Because he's God. He's literally limitless, all-powerful, and knows everything. Yet I have a difficult time trusting the creator of all things. It's like, girl. But it's just that, like, that unknown. It's like, oh my, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening. And it's scary. It is so scary because you really have to just let go of the control that you think you have, because you don't have it. You gotta let go of the control that you think you have and just like put it into the hands of God, which is the best place for it to be. But it's like full surrender, and surrender is not an easy thing. It's not easy. So anyways, that's my spiel for the day. I had like stuff and notes and everything. It's at my house. It's at my house. So I hope I covered everything, and I hope that this was like encouraging and not discouraging. I'm not like against marriage. I'm not against families. I love families. I love marriage, and I love kids. I used to not really like kids too much. I used to be like, oh, they're so annoying, and now I've really been like enjoying children, and just I want to protect them. Like I just want to protect their innocence. Like I love that they just don't care. I love that they are just themselves at all times. Like I love that they are just free to just run and yell and laugh and do all of these things without be like feeling embarrassed. I think like when you grow up and then you start to experience different traumas in your life, you know, like you become, you know, more closed off and more afraid and you know, scared to express yourself. And it's just, I think it's beautiful when I see kids able to express themselves and have that freedom. Like if I ever were to have children, I would want to create a space safe enough for them to be themselves at all times. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I do not care. And a space where they can like approach and come to me with anything and everything, and my husband with everything and anything. Because I really don't believe that I would have kids on purpose with a person who I don't like. I've made that promise to myself as a child, like that I would not have kids with somebody who I didn't believe would be a good father, because of the way that I grew up with a lot of different things happening. You know, that is really important to me. I know the effects of childhood trauma, and I know how that really like takes over your life. It can take over your life and your childhood and your adulthood, and it is the reason why, you know, we have different responses to different things, and having to heal from that and having to work through that, and now I don't expect to be a perfect parent, because I think that's impossible, because I'm a human being and we're all human beings. So there's going to be some level of trauma. I know I'm going to give my kids trauma, like, you know, it's just a thing. And that's not like, oh, trauma is like taking it lightly. It's just, you're not perfect. So you're going to make mistakes, you know, there's going to be things that are going to happen that are going to rub your kids the wrong way. Okay. That's what I mean by that. Not in like, it's going to happen. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm going to act like on purpose, you know, do these things. It's just, it's a thing. I'm a human being, and I think everybody has some level of quote unquote trauma in a way. It's just some is more severe and some is not. Like I was reading this, or I was looking at something, and like it was like when they were kids, the way that their parent responded, it wasn't necessarily a bad response, but the way that the child received that response, now because of that perception or whatever the word is of that response, now the child thinks differently. Like it's gonna happen, you know, it's going to happen. So anyways, but oh, okay, never mind. I don't even know where I was going with that, but kids, I don't know. I love kids. I do. I really do love kids. I think that they're beautiful, and I just want them to be able to express themselves. I hate yawning. Yeah, for forever. And yeah, but anyways, I don't know where I got onto that. Oh yeah, hopefully this is an encouraging video. Like I said, I'm not bashing, but I'm just speaking to my single people out there, y'all. Okay, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. Okay, definitely not alone. And it's okay. It is okay, and it will be okay. And I just encourage single people the way that I'm going to encourage myself continuously. It is a journey. It is an actively, it's every single day. To just allow God to like prepare you for what he has for you, and to be thankful, to be rooted in Christ, and thankful for your singleness, and thankful for what he has for you in this time in your life. And remember that, you know, things change. Things do change, even if they seem like they're not going to. All it takes is one thing for your life to be changed for forever, you know. And I pray that, you know, it is a really awesome change. Yeah, but I'm sure I'll be talking more about this. I kind of want to make like more singleness content, because I feel like there's a lot of like content out there. There's a lot of content for like dating and marriage and information on that type of stuff, and then there's content on like singleness. But I feel like the undertone of like the singleness content is still marriage, and it's not just like based on like what is God doing in this time in your life. It's like, you're single, okay, focus on what God's doing, but also like you want to be married, and also like prepare for that and have that be the focal point. So again, nothing wrong with preparing for marriage, nothing wrong with desiring marriage, nothing wrong with marriage, like wanting that and like praying for that and preparing for that. But it just always feels like it's just kind of like, oh, you're single, but it's like always like hovering over your head, like you're like marriage. You know what I mean? I don't know. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I don't know, because like it's not the opposite way around, where it's like when you're married, like the singleness is hovering over your head. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I guess for some people maybe it is, because like when you like cheat and stuff like that, if you're a cheater, then you want to be married, but like you also want to be single too, so you can like go and do things you shouldn't be doing with women that you shouldn't be doing it with. Anyways, sorry. I have like energy right now. I don't know why I have energy, but I do, and I'm thankful for that, because I've been very low energy the past little bit, so I am very grateful. I'm not complaining at all. Anyways, I'm gonna go. It's already like 43 minutes in, and it's like, that's a lot of time. So, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be talking about this topic again. Hopefully, maybe I'll make a separate video with my points that I have, because I did have like a little bit more structure going on, and probably not what I was talking about. I hope that this made sense. Anyways, okay, adios until next time.